Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello orders a probe on the COA report flagging overpriced items, including sanitary napkins purchased by OWWA. But the agency insists the COA report is not yet final, and OWWA says they are ready to explain the transactions. OWWA Administrator Cacdac joins us live. And later, some lawmakers urge the Ombudsman to suspend Health Secretary Francisco Duque. And should the Ombudsman conduct its own investigation on the COA findings? Albay Representative Edcel Lagman weighs in live. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello wants a thorough probe on the 1.2 million transactions flagged by the Commission on Audit on the purchases made by the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWWA. COA says around 1 million pesos worth of hygiene kits, sanitary napkins, and thermal scanners were bought from a construction firm in Pasay City. COA also flagged 300,000 pesos worth of bottled water and snacks that were purchased from a caterer in Quezon City instead of nearby supermarkets. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have OWWA Chief Cacdac. Sec, welcome to the source, and thank you so much for your time.
Yes, good morning, Ms. Pinky, and to your viewers, good morning as well.
Let's put everything into context first. This is how I'd like to start this. There is a portion of your budget that's being flagged by COA. This amounts to about 1.2 million pesos. And this represents about, if I'm not mistaken, 0.001% of the budget of OWWA, to which about 99.9% have been accounted for. Would that be correct, Yusek?
Yes, that's right. This is all in the context of our full audit that we went through for 4 months early this year for fiscal year 2020, where 8.9 billion worth of OWWA expenditures in our programs and services were audited by the COA, and 99.9% of the time we had hurdled the audit. Our people were commended. In fact, that's the word used in the audit report. Commended for the proper handling of financial systems and documents, and so this remaining 1.2 million pertains to an item, a notice that was given to us by the COA.
Okay, so your team was commended. Now the question is, if the person who's probably responsible for this, and you had mentioned his name already, it's Deputy Administrator Faustino Sabarias III. The question is, we wonder if he will be commended as well. So let's go to the budget, sir. 1.2 million pesos, of which, to be exact, 969,920 went to the purchase of hygiene kits, sanitary napkins, and thermal scanners. And meron po kasing remaining na 300,000 for food. Let's start with the 970,000 purchase. First, it was bought from MRJCP Construction and Trading. The first question really that comes to mind, which everyone is asking, why buy hygiene kits and sanitary napkins and thermal scanners from a construction and trading company?
Well, let me explain the context, Ms. Pinky. Deputy Administrator Sabares headed our ground operations during the ECQ. During the ECQ, we rendered food transport and hotel accommodation services to OFWs, including at that time we still had our shelter here at OWWA. We have a shelter here at OWWA, but we shut that down for maybe the last 7-8 months. But we had a shelter here at OWWA. So we had these ground operations committee or effort, and Deputy Administrator Sabares headed that committee. Okay. In line with that function, he was granted a cash advance. So it's easier to have all the supplies, because supplies will be necessary for the operation. It's easier to purchase supplies and have the supplies delivered to us immediately. Now, apparently, this establishment was tapped or was included in the portion where the expenditures were already being liquidated or being proven to be true and valid. And of course, as we know, the COA questioned this particular item. Right now, the status is that there is a notice of disallowance. So the COA has given Deputy Administrator Sabares time to appeal this notice. So we just have to afford the Deputy Administrator time within which to explain this and to liquidate this particular account. We know for sure that during the ECQ, there were supplies that were coming in and were delivered to OFWs, and not just OFWs, but also our teams on the ground. Halimbawa, yung that had been mentioned, meron din kaming mga merienda o pantawid gutom for our teams on the ground, on 1,200 of them, frontliners here in NCR. So we just have to await, just have to afford Deputy Administrator Sabares the chance to explain his side and submit that document in the context of COA proceeding. Kasi COA proceed, we're still under the audit process. So under that process, we need to...
Yusek, ang tanong mo kasi, ang ano kasi is MRJCP, Construction and Trading. So I know that we need to be very fair. Kailangan po munang hintayin yung sagot ni Deputy Administrator Faustino Sabares. But why a construction and trading company for hygiene kits and sanitary napkins? Have you spoken to him? Did he say anything about this? Kahit po initially.
Well, what I have gathered so far is there have been purchases made in groceries as well as trading supply establishments. Ngayon, ang hindi ko alam, Miss Pinky, kung itong hardware na to ay nabibilang doon sa trading supply establishments. Again, I will not go further than that. I hope you understand, because I cannot preempt the actual submission to the COA. But we just have to await the explanation. We just need, or Deputy Administrator Sabares just need some time to respond to this. But definitely, as far as I had conversed with him, and we had also done our own investigation here with not just him, but his people, his staff. There were indeed purchases made during that time in groceries, in drugstores, and in trading supply entities. So I'm just not sure where this hardware store falls under.
Did you speak to him already personally? Because you received this report from COA, I believe, last July 26. So it had been about, 25 days since. Nakausap niyo na ho ba siya?
Yes. Of course, I had conversed with him, and we had already, even as we speak, because of the good Secretary Bello's directive, we are already also conducting our own investigation. So part of that obviously is talking to him and talking to his personnel, the personnel under him, his staff.
Well, can you at least tell us what he's told you so far?
Well, so far he says he stands by the purchase of supplies. At that time, it was a national emergency, so he did all the best that he could to gather all these supplies from different parts of the city. Ito namang point kasi about Quezon City, sa tingin ko naman, to come to his defense, sa tingin ko itong observation about Quezon City could not immediately brand the transaction as suspicious. Kasi we are all in the NCR. We are in Pasay City, but we are in the NCR, and therefore, as we all know, everything within the NCR is within reach. In ECQ, with less traffic, it's easy pretty much to go to any part of the NCR.
Pasay to
We're allowed
Quezon
to
City
travel.
is really not a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
had those
Yusek, I hope
IHF.
you don't mind, no?
Uh,
I hope you don't mind kasi iba po yan. Yan yung 300,000 supposed to be na binili sa Quezon City ng mga pagkain. Tabi po na muna natin yan. So balikan ko lang po, nakausap niyo na po si Administrator Sabares. Tinanong niyo ho ba siya, ito ho bang Administrator, tinanong niyo ho ba, ito bang MRJCP Construction and Trading, nagbebenta ho ba ito ng hygiene kits at sanitary napkins? Were you able to ask him that?
Yes, I did, and his response is that he stands by the purchase of hygiene kits. But of course, the matter on whether or not that hardware store really exists and as to why he invoked that particular hardware store in the liquidation process is something that he will have to explain at the COA submission process.
Okay.
So para sa akin, kailangan niyang ipaliwanag yon, but he stands by his position that indeed there were valid purchases that were made out of this 986,000 pesos.
Yeah, but that's a different thing. He can say they are valid purchases. The question is, were these purchases that he says that are valid, ito ho ba ay binili dito sa MRJCP Construction and Trading? That's my question, sir. And I'm sure that's your question as well to him as well.
Yes, that was my question. So far, he says yes. But as I said, he has to explain bakit ang finding ng COA ay wala doon sa address mentioned. That has to be explained. Precisely, we are looking into that matter as well.
Yeah, because so many media outfits, including CNN Philippines, pinuntahan po yung lugar at hindi po mahanap yung address. The address being ATM Cornejo Street, Malibay, Barangay 161, Pasay City. Anong sinabi niya? Did he say that, Yusek, baka nagkamali ho ako sa address? Meron ho ba siyang ganun na possible reply to you? Or did he say that lumipat na ho ito? Kasi it was purchased in May, but you know, that, what did he say?
Well, in the end, he just said he will explain his side. But I told him that you have to explain why, bakit yun ang address na binigay at bakit pagdating doon ng COA ay walang nadatnan. So this is something that has to be explained. But he stands by the matter on the supplies being purchased from this entity.
Okay. Does he stand by that address as well?
I'm not so sure of that. No, I just told him to adequately explain that. Because obviously the establishment does not exist where it is said to be existing, di ba? So
yes.
He will have to clarify that matter because then it would be obviously a false allegation or a false submission to the Commission on Audit.
Okay, we need to take a very short break. The source will be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb, our guest today, OWWA Chief Hans Cacdac. Sir, so you're saying that si Deputy Administrator standing by this purchase, ano po? Just another question, and I hope mabilis lang po tayo dito. Meron po kasing yung sanitary napkin, sinasabi ng COA, seems to be overpriced. Why? Why are there purchases na 10 pesos, may 20 pesos, may 30 pesos, may 35 pesos per sanitary napkin when in fact, COA was saying this can be bought at a much lower price of about 5 to 8 pesos. Did he explain that to you, sir?
Well, that will have to be explained as well dun sa COA proceeding, Ms. Pinky. Yung matter ng pricing. Obviously, sanitary napkins also essential to our supplies for the female OFWs who need it. Hygiene kits, they're part of our hygiene kits. Now, as to the pricing aspect, I think this will also be covered, should be covered by the explanation before the COA. I think
but
when
would
pricing,
you personally, kayo po, was there some sort of doubt in your mind when you saw this na may biniling 10 pesos, 20 pesos, 30 pesos na sanitary napkins? Kasi bakit, number one, iba-iba ang presyo at number two, mahal po?
Well, the auditing process with the COA, when the COA comes in, yung mga finance teams natin already show the COA kung paano liquidate yung certain cash advances. Kasi marami namang cash advances sa OWWA. As I said, many hurdle the audit and this one remains. Ngayon, when our finance teams participate with the COA, these matters are taken up. So these matters are taken up. So we were not necessarily caught by surprise with these matters or these items in the liquidation, because precisely we put this forward before the COA, for the COA to analyze and evaluate for themselves. So ang point ko doon is when we face the COA, we point out to them also matters that may require their scrutiny or may require their further evaluation. So hindi naman yan tipong dun pa lang din namin nalalaman yung ganong klaseng bagay. And so we work hand in hand with COA. We call also to the COA's attention matters that we think require the COA's attention.
So are you saying kahit who kayo, Yusek, nagtaka kayo dito sa ganitong klaseng pagbibili ng mga sanitary napkin na iba-ibang presyo? Is that what you're saying, sir?
No, I'm just saying that in the process of the COA audit, our team sit down and work on the liquidation of the items, so in the liquidation of cash advances. And when this item came up, obviously our team sat down and talked this over with the COA. So it has also caught our attention. It has caught our attention.
Okay.
I'm just explaining the
process.
The process, that goes on.
I understand, sir. When do you expect this to be? Sabi nga ni Secretary Bello, a probe is underway. When do you expect to get a reply, some sort of closure on this issue, and when will this be submitted to the COA?
Okay, so there's two things. Now, one is the investigation that that's directed by Secretary Bello. So we will make a recommendation next week, and the other one is the appeal that the COA had asked or had given Deputy Administrator Sabares to file or to lodge. Investigation in Sec Bello, we will have our recommendation next week. Now, as for the explanation of Deputy Administrator Sabares before the COA, then I asked him to do this at the soonest possible time. Kasi the appeal period under the law is 6 months. But I asked him to already make his explanation at the soonest possible time.
Just to clarify, sir, as a last note, 6 months po yung appeal, not 60 days?
6 months yung
Okay.
All
right. Okay, so we'll wait for the recommendation and the finalization of the investigation that the Secretary Bello had ordered. USEC Hans Cacdac, sir, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Pinky. Thank you to your viewers.
And coming up, should the Ombudsman suspend Health Secretary Francisco Duque? Albay Representative Edcel Lagman joins us after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Let's now speak to Albay Representative Edcel Lagman. Congressman Lagman, also maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Umpisahan ko na po, House. There's a House probe. There's a Senate probe on the COA finding on this deficiency on the DOH budget. But what happened in yesterday's hearing at the Senate, lumabas po that para po nagturoan ng DOH at DBM on the release of funds. Ang sabi po ng DOH, they released the budget for the SRA, supposed to be last June 25, if I'm not mistaken, that only gave them 5 days to be able to distribute the money kasi maglalapse na po yung batas ng June 30. Pero sumagot po doon yung DBM. Ang sabi nila, they refuted this, saying that si DOH naman daw ang nag-submit talaga ng late sa kanila. In effect, the DOH submitted the request June 23. So, pero yung DBM was ready since June 3. Congressman, kailangan mo siguro talagang tumbukin ito, no? Kasi kung sino ho ba sa kanila talaga ang nagkamali or nagkaroon po ng pagkukulang sa pagmamadali ng pag-release ng pondo?
Kung meron man nagkamali, whether the DBM or the Department of Health, ito ay within the Executive Department. So, ang Executive Department ay ang nagkamali. At yung COA naman ay nakita yung mga deficiencies and discrepancies. At walang karapatan ang Pangulo na sabihin sa COA, hintuin mo na ang pag-flag ng mga agencies na to at ating i-embargo ang sa inyong results. Ang COA audit, mali ang Malacanang nang sinabi na ito ay temporary lamang. Ito ay permanent, ay final reports ng COA. At ito, susog sa saligang batas, ay nakapost na sa website ng COA. At walang pinopost sa website ng COA kung hindi pa final.
And in fact, the chairman of COA, Chairman Aguinaldo, was saying this is obviously part of their job. They're a constitutional body that basically really looks into the money that is given to government agencies and how the money is spent. It seems, no, even with what the president said, tila hindi naman po natinag ang COA when the president said stop flagging or stop publishing this. Just to be clear on this, is it part, sir, of the responsibility of COA to publish these in their website or to actually upload these findings in their website? Just to be clear about it, Congressman.
They are mandated by existing law to publish the COA audit reports once they are final. So COA is just complying with the law in publishing the results. Moreover, it is the constitutional right of citizens to be informed of what is happening in the government, particularly in the utilization of the people's money. And that is the mandate of COA, to safeguard the utilization of the people's fund by agencies who either did not spend the budget or misspent the appropriations. That is the obligation of COA to disclose to the public, and that is mandated by law.
Two things that you said there, no, Congressman, either misspent or hindi ginamit. Yan po yung dalawang bagay na kailangan talagang pagtuunan ng pansin. There was also a statement made yesterday during the Senate hearing from Senator Grace Poe, if I'm not mistaken. Sabi nga niya, would it be time also to suspend Health Secretary Francisco Duque, gaya ng po pag-suspend noon nung nagkaroon ng Senate hearing, the Ombudsman suspended members of the PhilHealth dahil nga dun sa lumabas na issue on the internal revenue, the reimbursement of the hospitals to PhilHealth. What is your position on this?
Well, the president has the power to hire and fire, particularly members of his cabinet. That includes the power to suspend errant officials or those suspected of having committed culpable negligence. And in this case, the question should be thrown to the president. He has the onus whether to suspend or remove a public official, particularly a member of his cabinet, on the basis of the COA findings of deficiencies and discrepancies.
But we already heard the statement of the President, Congressman Edcel Lagman, on this. Hindi ho ba narinig na natin ang sinabi ni Pangulo tungkol dito? 2 beses nang gusto mag-resign ni Secretary Duque at wag siyang mag-resign dahil wala siyang ginawang mali. Yun po ang sinabi ng Pangulo.
Well, fine kung ang isang opisyal ay nagkamali ay posible ito ay sa prosecutors at sa husgado base sa findings ng independent audit like yung ginawa ng COA. I don't think it would be, I think it is premature for the President to clear anybody under this grave suspicion.
Mhm. But the question is, I guess, Congressman, should the Ombudsman launch an investigation already with what COA has released so far? Should the Ombudsman already initiate an investigation? Should they step in?
That is the call of the Ombudsman. The Ombudsman, like the Commission on Audit, the Commission on Civil Service, the Commission on Human Rights, are created by the Constitution, and they are mandated to perform independently their functions. They are not responsible, neither are they accountable to the President.
But do you think that the Ombudsman should already step in? Would it be prudent for the Ombudsman to already step in?
I think so, Pinky, because the COA report is final. There could be a basis for an investigation. The discrepancies and deficiencies are documented. So it is now right that an investigation be undertaken by the Ombudsman.
Albay Representative Edcel Lagman, sir, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. And take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.